and welcome to our special edition of The Big Reset. Various banks have been trying to tackle the problem of exchanging cash and reaching cash to the remotest corners. Now, one bank which has excelled in putting up ATMs and branches in the most far-flung areas is Axis Bank. I have with me the Managing Director and CEO of Axis Bank, Shikha Sharma. Shikha, first of all, I must narrate this incident to you that one of my friends was visiting the Himalayan passes, and I think at Nathula, the Indian Army said that we are grateful to Axis Bank because there is an Axis Bank branch there. So let me start over there. Which has been the biggest challenge in terms of reaching cash? Could you reach it to your Nathula people?
It has been a challenge in some of the remote locations to get cash out there on time. But I think the great thing, Latha, in all of this has been how RBI, the banks, everybody, the security personnel, everybody's come together to help ride over the crisis. So yes, for the first day, we didn't have cash in some of our J&K branches. And some of the local banks were kind enough to give us cash to serve our customers on the first day. And then, by the second day, we could get cash out there. Yes, it has been a logistics nightmare, but I think it's been great that the banking system has been able to push out more than...
So how does your day begin, or how did your day begin on the 10th of November? Did you all first plan the logistics of reaching cash, the van planning? Was that the first thing from the chests?
So I have to say that we created a war room, and people from different functions got together and said the first thing is how our branch is going to know what to do when customers walk in. So we thought about how to deal with branches, because the first thing was to give them comfort, because the fear was that will we have a law and order crisis the next morning when the branch opens. And so just making sure that we had worked with the police for help if we needed it. We had made sure the branches know what to communicate to customers and how to communicate to customers, and how to make life as easy as possible for customers who come in is what we focused on. Okay. As one stream. Okay. And the other stream, of course, was that by then we had got the 2,000 rupee notes. Okay. And how do we take them from the currency chests and send them out to the branches.
Every day it was a logistics planning of vans?
Yes, absolutely.
In consultation with RBI?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And RBI put us in touch with all the regional offices wherever we were in short supply. RBI kind of helped us wherever they could in terms of getting that supply going.
Okay. Now the big problem is, I guess, ATM recalibration for the new weight of the new notes. How many ATMs you have, and what is the number of ATMs you're able to calibrate in a day?
So you know that RBI and government have put together a task force to look at ATM recalibration. Because the issue over there is that, yes, each of us needs to go back and get the ATMs recalibrated. But fundamentally, we are all dependent on the manufacturers and their engineers to get those ATMs recalibrated. And we are all dependent upon the cash and transit agencies to go there at the time that the engineer is going to come, open the cassettes get recalibrated, then the CIT agency puts in cash, and that's when the ATM becomes operational. So the entire banking system needs to get it done, but we are dependent upon the set of manufacturers, the managed services providers, and the cash and transit agencies, which is why the task force was put up, to see how can everybody come together. And
so what are these companies? You will need the white label ATM makers.
You need the ATM makers. So the NCRs, Diebold, etc. There are 4 of them. Then you need the MSP providers to come in and manage the logistics. And then you need the cash and transit logistics companies to go along with the engineer to open the ATM machine so that the cassette can be reconfigured.
And one of your guys also have to be there?
That depends upon what structure you have. For banks which have an MSP, bank staff may be needed. We have a more third-party model where the IAD provider can actually is empowered to get all of this done, but they still need the cash and transit agency to.
So the recalibration timetable will depend on the number of engineers these companies
available. And the other issue, of course, was some of the ATMs need some components as well for the recalibration.
Okay.
So then those components have to come in and, they are, in some cases, have to be imported. So that was the capacity planning exercise that was being done. That do we have components? How can we recalibrate? And how do we use the engineers? So the decision that's been taken is, let's not worry about which banks ATMs get done first. Let's look at the logistically optimal route.
Populated.
Optimal route. So you take a route and you do all the ATMs in that route so that the engineers and the CITs can serve that particular route.
Okay.
And
when do you think we should be through with the ATMs?
So I think based on the capacity, the intent is that we should be able to do 12,500 ATMs a day.
Okay.
Now, if you're actually able to deliver on that 12,000 ATMs a day, then we are talking about, about 2 weeks. We should be able to get this done.
Are queues
to 2.5 weeks? Yeah.
Okay. Are queues getting any smaller at banks or not yet? We have to wait for these 2 weeks.
No, actually the queues have become shorter.
Okay.
So I was just looking at the queues and the data. The queues have certainly become shorter, and especially after the government's come up with this schema of the indelible ink.
Yes.
So that the same person is not standing in the queue again. That has certainly shortened the queue lines. And even in terms of cash deposits and withdrawals, we're seeing the numbers begin to stabilize.
Okay.
So they haven't begun to come off just yet, but they're stabilizing.
Okay.
So I think another couple of days and the situation should definitely look better.
Okay. What is the farthest van has to travel for your farthest branch or ATM? Nathula would be what, 1 day?
Nathula would be away from the currency chest.
Yes.
It would probably be a day. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, I guess over there even the demand would be less.
Yes.
But that's the logistical planning. Okay, what about the currency notes itself? Would it have worked? Would it have helped if 500 had come before 2000?
So, Latha, that's a question which RBI obviously had to think about, and they figured out to get the 2000s first. It's difficult for us to understand
their logic.
But if I had to just look at it from the outside and hazard some guesses, then, the issue is that if you are going to print the 500s first, then you'll have to print 4 notes. So it's a question of the printing capacity. You just print a lot more value by doing the highest denomination first. So I don't know what went into the thinking, but that could be one explanation if it was thought like that. And as long as we now get enough production of 500s, yes, there has been some constraint because people find it difficult to use the 2000 sometimes because you don't get change. So there are some situations where you can use the 2000, but there are other situations where you need the hundreds.
No, I can see the 2000 point of view because my mother and my mom-in-law just want to keep money. So we exchange their money. They don't want to spend it anyway. Whatever the 10,000 they want for confidence, that money is there. So 2000 served a purpose in exchange. But
in terms of velocity of money, you need the 500s and the thousands and the hundreds.
Okay.
So now that the 500s have been coming for the last 2 days, I would think that the situation should begin to ease out in the next couple of days.
Okay.
We need the combination of...
what has been the, when does the cash run out? Does it stay with you? Are you able to service visitors for half a day, 10 hours a day? What has been your experience?
So actually the first couple of days, the branches were open till 8 and 9.
But they had cash?
They had cash the first couple of days. And then, yes, some branches started running out of cash. And from yesterday, we've been keeping the branches open during normal hours. One, of course, the branch staff themselves would get terribly fatigued. And two is the cash is not going to last forever. Okay. So now we're moving into that
normal customer working hours. This is a golden opportunity to push people into digitization. Has Access been able to handhold taxi drivers or veggie vendors into using M-Pin or Paytm or any of your own pockets? So
the good news that is that people will first go to what they have used in the past and are familiar with. So cash everybody is familiar with. Cards a lot more people are familiar with. So we found card transactions jump up dramatically. So card transactions have gone up more than 2x, right? Credit card transactions have also gone up, but debit card transactions have just jumped. Then we've seen digital transactions, mobile transactions go up as well. New processes always take some time to bed. So we had launched M-Visa a couple of months back, and yes, we've worked with taxi drivers, small shops, veggie vendors in trying to see can they adopt M-Visa. We're now beginning to work with them on UPI as well and see how do we make them familiar with that. So depending upon the merchant type, depending upon the volume of transactions they choose, they may choose a different mode. So high velocity vendors will prefer cards because it's just more efficient. The lesser transaction intensity vendors like M-Visa. And we have this very interesting story of a taxi driver in Bangalore who had M-Visa, and one of our branch staff was actually taking that taxi, and the driver said, you know, you can pay with your bank account and let me show you how you can do it. So he actually taught our branch staff how to use M-Visa using the Access mobile account. So adoption happens, and you know, it's a question of our team teaching the vendor and then the vendor then teaching their customers. But that's a journey that will happen.
Absolutely.
And but the good news is, in this last week, we've had so many more inquiries from merchants. So we all think, you know, it's a cost issue, this, that, and the other. But people are not talking about cost, you know. It was something that
they thought they would do later.
Thought they would do later, but now we've just had a massive demand for people asking for POS machines, asking for digital payment solutions to be able to take payments digitally.
Yeah, so you know, okay, I'll come to the POS machines in a minute, but have you all started to embark on some group training? You know, I know most of your staff are at the teller at this point in time, but is that something on the anvil or already underway to plan, you know, for the entire Kalipili Taxis Union or whatever, I mean, the entire Crawford market or whoever? Have you all attempted anything like that?
So actually, we've been working at it over the last couple of months, as I said, Latha. You know, when we launched M-Visa and more recently UPI. So M-Visa, we started working with all the Kalipilis. And Sangram will be happy to talk to you at any point of time and show you what's been happening with the Kalipuli taxis with M-Visa as well. And then we've been going to small markets and talking to all the small shops in that market. So recently I had gone to Dehradun and I visited some of the small shops in the market, and it was nice to see that
they had
there was a product
gone on into digital payments. But you know, Shikha, for all that is being planned and all the almost mission mode you know, movement in both the government, RBI and banks, up to a point people are patient because they feel, oh, I have time till December. But as we get to end of November, do you think tempers will get short? You know, do you all need to, or does the entire establishment need to work faster now, just in case you know the goodwill doesn't last?
No, so I think, Latha, it's really impressive that customers have seen the larger purpose and said we will take the short-term pain because we're all working towards a larger purpose. And I think channels like yours have played a fantastic role in reaching that message out to customers, making them understand why this is good for the economy, and therefore you live with the short-term pain because it's, and also explaining that, look, you have all the way till December 30th to come and change your money. So if you have a lot of money, don't worry about it. You can come later when the queues are shorter and come and deposit it. But right now what you need is the currency that you need for your daily expenses. So maybe you just need enough money for the next 3-4 days, and then you can come back again and take money and the ATMs start to work. My view is that, you know, if we look at the amount of money that's flowed into deposits, I don't see the money flowing into deposits being something that's going to get out of control. No, it'll all get done well in time. Then the issue is, do people have enough currency to live their daily lives, right? As these 500 rupee notes come into circulation, I think you'll start to see a dramatic improvement.
And as I think these ATMs get calibrated.
And as the ATMs get calibrated, because 2,000 rupee notes have been dispensed. But sometimes you have the 2,000 rupee note, but you can't use it because you can't get change. So the moment we have some more of the 500s come in there and you have the mixing, the 2,000 will also become productive. So if you ask me, I think it's another 3-4 days. And as soon as we have enough 500s out there in the system, I think a lot of the pain will go away.